All right, so just like numbers can be factored to two values which multiply together to form the number, which is what we did up here in that previous video. So like 36 can be factored into two numbers that multiply to get it. Okay, so just like that, a trinomial can be factored into two binomials which multiply to form the trinomial. Okay, so that's something that we can do, and we're going to be taking a look at how to do that. Now, just as before we start with that here, let's take a look at the multiplying. Okay, we've done this in the past, and so we're going to go forward and we're going to go backwards. So multiply them together, x plus 3 and x plus 4. If we multiply them together, we get x squared plus 3x plus 4x plus 12. Okay, so this is what we would get if we do these two together. This simplifies to be 7x plus 12. Okay, so x squared plus 7x plus 12. Simplify, that's what I've done in a previous lesson. And so this is our trinomial right here. Okay, that's our trinomial. These two binomials are factors of this trinomial because if we multiply these together, we get the trinomial. Just like if we multiply 1 and 36 together, we get 36. Or if we multiply 4 and 9 together, we get 36. Now, the difference is that these are really the only two options we have to get this value here. For the most part, there are some times when there's multiple ways to get it, but for the most part, we're going to come up with just two binomials in finding that. Now, so that's kind of what I would call working forwards. We're multiplying things together to come up with our answer. Now, if we want to go backwards, okay, we need to kind of take a look at a bit of a different system. Okay, and that system that we're going to look at is what we call decomposition. And right here is a little bit of decomposition. This is the instructions for decomposition. I'm not going to go through this in total, but I will go through it kind of as I solve it. You will go through all these points. So let's figure out what two binomials multiply together to get this trinomial. So what we want to do is we want to turn x squared plus 6x plus 8 into two binomials where we have like x plus something and x plus something, okay, kind of like that, which multiply to get this right here. Now, I'm going to use a way called decomposition. Now, if you'd really like to see a couple different ways to do it, I can show you other ways as well if you really want. Decomposition is what I would consider the most straightforward way. It works every time, and we're going to use it, and we're going to use it for a whole bunch of these right here. So this is the way we're going to go through how to solve. And again, you can also take a look on YouTube or ask me. And I can give you a video on how to solve using other ways as well, but decomposition tends to be one of the most straightforward ones. So this right here is an ax squared plus bx plus c. That's that kind of trinomial that we have. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to take a look at how do we factor it using this right here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply together the a and c terms. So the a term is whatever's in front of the x squared, and the c term is this one right here. Right in front of here is a 1. And 8 is right there. And so if we multiply 1 and 8 together, that gives us 8. Now that's not mind-blowing in any way, I hope not, but that's how we can come up with that value right there. Now we want to find what are some factors of 8. Okay, what are two numbers that multiply together to get 8? And that would be, so if we look at factors, it's 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Okay, can you think of any others? If you can, that's awesome. If you can't, well, we also have the negative ones, and we're not going to worry too much about the negatives right now, but they will come into play as we go forward here. Okay, so we're going to be taking a look at these factors here. So we have 1 times 8, 2 times 4, negative 1 times negative 8, and negative 2 times negative 4 all give us positive 8 if we multiply them together. Now, our next step there is to figure out which pair of these okay, would add up. Now again, now we're adding. Okay, so there's a couple different ways here, but follow the instructions. Which one would add up to get our middle term, get our b value, which is 6? So we can look at these pairs, and 1 plus 8 is 9, 2 plus 4 is 6. Oh, that's what we want, right? So we're going to use this one right here, the 2 and the 4, to come up with our middle term. Okay? So that's the initial thing, is coming up with which factors are going to work to get our middle term. Now this is where it gets a little bit complicated, and this is where we're going to decompose. Okay, the way it's called decomposition. This is where we're going to decompose our trinomial, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this middle term and split it into two values. But we're going to keep it, it's going to equal the same, so don't worry about that. So we're going to keep the x squared to be the same, and then 6x, okay, there's 6 x's, we can write it as 2x's plus 4x's. Okay, the 2 and the 4, that's where we get that from. Okay, so these go in here. So 2x's and 4x's, if you remember, is the same as 6x. Okay, but all we're doing is we're just splitting it apart right now, and then we're going to keep the back half to be, or the back little part to be the same there as well. All right, so we've decomposed that the middle term. Okay, and that's a big part of it. That's really why we call it decomposition. Now here's where we come up with the rest of it. What we're going to do is we're going to pretend that these are two binomials, and we're going to take a greatest common factor out of each binomial. Okay, so we're going to take a greatest common factor out. We're going to look at these 2 points here. Okay, so we have x squared and 2x. The greatest common factor we can take out of there is just an x. Okay, so if we take an x out, we divide this by x. So if you remember this from previous ones as well, and 2x divided by x is just 2. Okay, so this is from previous units of taking out a greatest common factor, taking out a factor. So we take out an x because we can from both of those, and we do the same thing here. Now here we have 4x and 8, and the greatest common factor that we're going to have is just a 4. Okay, so positive 4, and if we divide this by 4, we're going to get x, and if we divide this by 4, we're going to get 2. All right, now, one thing to watch out for here is what's inside of your brackets. And you'll notice that both of my sets of brackets are exactly the same. This is very important. Okay, this is one of the factors right there. X plus 2 is one of the factors of the original trinomial. The other one is these two values right there, x and positive 4. Okay, x and positive 4. So this is one factor, this is a second factor. These two, if we multiply them back together, would give us our trinomial. So our trinomial is the same, or if we factor it, it is x plus 2 and x plus 4. Now some of you are like, well, what if I make a mistake there, and what if I switch these around and I do 4x and 2x? You'll end up getting the same value, and I'll go through with that in a different question, but right now this video is starting to get a little long. So this is how we find what our two binomials are, which multiply together to get our trinomial.